What is up, everybody, and welcome back to a monster episode of Formula One Gridlock. We've got 3 races to recap, Chase.
Yeah, lots. We're super busy recently.
hmm I know you had, guests over, so you couldn't just get away and record a podcast for an hour. And honestly, I've been sick for the last week and a half, so it would not have sounded good even if we did record, Chase. So,
Yeah.
all right, all right, all right. Let's just get into it because, like I said, we got 3 races to get into. Since we do have 3, I'm not gonna race rundown every single one of them,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll look at the top 3 for each race. Obviously, Styria, Austria, and Great Britain. 2 races on the Red Bull Ring and one at the I forget what that's called. There's a specific name for the Great Britain track, but
Silverstone.
Silverstone. Thank you. I knew it was an important name, but for some reason I couldn't remember it. So first race, Styria top 3. Max Verstappen takes the win. Lewis Hamilton in second. Valtteri Bottas in third. Some notable places in this: you had Lando Norris in fifth. The Ferraris bunched up together in sixth and seventh, and that's really about. Oh, you had Yuki Tsunoda in 10th, scoring a couple points. We had 2 did not finishes in this one. George Russell, rest in peace to our boy, and Pierre Gasly, which that's a real blow because I do like Pierre and I'd love to see him succeed. The second one, you got Max Verstappen once again taking the victory in Austria. Second place goes to Valtteri Bottas, and then third place, our boy Lando Norris. A couple other notable finishes in this one. He had Carlos Sainz in fifth, Daniel Ricciardo up in seventh. That's not too bad. Um, Pierre Gasly in ninth, scoring a couple points for his team. George Russell just misses out on some points on, I think, his first points in Formula One with Williams
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
11th,
It'd be
which,
his first.
yeah, which is a real shame. But it is what it is. That's racing. That's why we do it. And the final race, Chase, Great Britain, Silverstone, you had Lewis Hamilton taking the victory. You had Charles Leclair in second, and in third place, Valtteri Bottas. A couple notable finishes. The McLarens are bunched up in fourth and fifth, so that's a great result for them. Carlos Sainz in sixth, and that is really about it. Yuki Tsunoda again in 10th. Yuki Tsunoda actually beats his teammate, Pierre Gasly, in 11th. Yuki Tsunoda picking up a couple more points. Yuki Tsunoda having a sneaky, solid year, Chase.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it. Chase, let's rewind and take our focus back to Styria. Give me
Uh-huh.
your one-word description.
My one-word description is excellent, and I chose excellent because I couldn't choose a two-word description.
if
Excellent because I just felt like everyone was kind of racing their heart out this time. You had you had lots of passing, you had lots of close battles, and it just turned out to be a great race. Unfortunately, we had a couple DNFs that made it not DNF free, but still a great race.
I totally agree with you. My one-word description for it is emphatic. It was an
Hmm.
emphatic victory from Max Verstappen. He really was lights out on this track. Honestly, both times he was fantastic.
Hmm.
So that really is it for me. Um, Driver of the day, Chase. Who do you got?
My driver of the day is Verstappen,
Mm-hmm.
and it just comes down to not once was he gonna lose. Not
Yep.
once.
Yeah.
He was just so dominant that he literally almost came to a standstill before crossing the finish line, and you weren't even worried.
He was flexing. He was flexing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great pick. I actually picked Charles Leclerc. Now, he didn't have a fantastic finish in the seventh, but what that seventh, and what the sheet doesn't tell you is the fact that he was in 11th with with a few laps to go. So
Hmm.
he pitted and got new tires and then just was really able to snake up through the field. And that honestly that separates the men from the boys, being able to have a good strategy and being able to see it to fruition. So for me, Charles Leclerc takes driver of the day.
That's a good pick.
Let's talk teams. Chase, who you got?
My team's Ferrari, going
Mm,
off of Leclerc.
yeah,
And signs above him, those are two pretty good places.
yeah, a 6-7 finish for Ferrari. They will take that.
Yeah, definitely. And beating out the other McLaren driver, not that it was too much of a worry, but still matters. Yeah, I think it was a good finish for them.
I absolutely agree. They were actually my pick too, Chase. I mean,
Yeah.
this seemed like a very cookie cutter race. Like we kind of knew we had already seen this track before, so we kind of already knew what we were gonna get. We knew Max was gonna be good, and we knew the Mercedes were not gonna be quite with him. So to
Hmm.
have, um, you know, Red Bull did what Red Bull was supposed to do. Mercedes did what Mercedes. Most of these teams did what they were supposed to do, but I feel like Ferrari had this was a this was good. This was a good showing from Ferrari. So
Yeah.
for that reason, they are my pick. And I don't want to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Actually, maybe everybody wants to talk about it. Let's talk about the worst stuff that happened, Chase. What do
Oh
you have
man.
for your worst of the weekend?
My worst for the week is George Russell, and it's not him. It's what happened to him.
Yeah,
Having a phenomenal race,
great
mind you,
race,
qualifies in 10th in a Williams.
which is
I mean,
insane.
come on.
Yep.
What is that? Has a pretty good race and then just gets screwed over by I don't even know what it technically was. I just know it was a pit stop and then he just they had to pull it into
Yeah.
the garage.
Super super unfortunate for our boy George. For our boy George. He had a two great races in Austria. He loves
Yeah,
this track. Holy cow.
two phenomenal races.
Man, he's going to be scary once he finally gets into that Mercedes car. He's going to be so
Yeah,
good.
or in any car, we'll see.
It's going to be like he's like coming out of the he's like you know how guys go into prison and then they come out jacked? That's
Yeah.
exactly what George Russell is doing. He's getting jacked at Williams.
Well, think about it. Any car that isn't a Williams or a Haas, he'll just automatically be better because
Yeah.
all the other cars on the grid are better.
Yeah, and he's still putting his car in 10th. Like he's still beating half of the field with
A
a
Williams.
worse
A
car than they have.
Williams.
Yeah. Moving along, we're moving at a quick pace, Chase, but we kind of have to in order to get to the fun part, which is when
Yeah.
we just talk about stuff that we don't know. Austria,
Wait,
same.
your worst of the weekend.
Oh, my worst of the weekend. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. For me, it's Lando Norris. He qualified well, and then he literally just kind of let cars pass him.
Yeah.
He still ended up fifth, which isn't awful for McLaren. That's quite good, actually. They'll probably take fifth, but he could have gotten third. Like he
Yeah.
could have gotten third but I think he was on a different strategy, and he literally just let like Sergio or one of the Mercedes like pass him. Like he pulled over and let him pass, and I was like, what are you doing? He's my pick mostly because I bet on him to get third or to get top three. So I
Yeah.
lost money on that. Thanks, Lando. But I do think like the fact that he did get third in the second race, in the race we're coming up and we're going to talk about, shows like he could have gotten third if their strategy was better. So for me, that really sucks for him.
Yeah. That's a good pick.
Thank you. I pride myself in my picks, Chase. All right, let's talk Austria. 1, 2, 3, Max, Valtteri, and Lando in third. Chase, give me your one word. What do you got?
My one word is mid pack. And that's not about the mid pack. It's about this race. Just not to shame on the race, but it wasn't too good, but it wasn't too bad. And for me, comparatively to the race that happened a week prior to it, it just didn't hold up. Like I said last week, we were getting so many passes. Everyone was like driving out of their mind, and then this one, it's like kind of a calm race comparatively, in my opinion. That's at least the race that I saw.
I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from when you're talking like the front of it, the front of the race. You know, Max was always going to win this race again, and I felt like Valtteri was probably always going to get second. I think he had quite a bit of a gap between him and Lando. For me, this race was very gritty, and that is my one-word description: gritty, grit. This race had grit to it, Chase. There was a lot of just racing with your elbows out to me in this race.
Yeah.
You had Lando in the beginning, and then you had a couple times with Charles Leclair and Sergio Perez. it just felt like these guys. These guys were really going for it, and I think Sergio had a couple incidents with
Two penalties.
Leclair. Yeah, 2 penalties. Still ended up sixth, which is good. It's okay for Red Bull. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. At one point, uh, Sergio kind of pushed Charles Leclerc off the track, which I'm fine with. I don't think uh, I was looking at all of these replays, and I really don't think that Sergio like this was racing. Like Sergio wasn't like running into the guys. Like these all felt kind of like racing to me, racing incidents. So I don't
Yeah,
necessarily agree with a lot of these penalties, but we can talk about that later. But at
yeah,
one point, like Sergio pushed him off, and you could see in the replay Charles giving him the finger through
yeah.
in
I
the
saw that.
cockpit. I loved when that happens. I love it so much. Very gritty, if you know what I mean, Chase.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit more about drivers. Chase, give me your driver of the day.
My driver of the day is Russell. And honestly, it's not too much about the race. It is a good majority about the race. But it's about where he qualified. And I get he qualified in 11th last race. But he qualified 10th this race. That's 2 weeks in a row. A Williams driver is in the top half of the grid. And then during the race, he holds on to it for as long as the Williams will possibly let him. Like, he did all he could, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion,
Yeah.
to keep that position. And it's just up to the fact that he has the second worst car in the grid. So
He
I
absolutely
chose him
does.
just because it was like out of his mind driving.
Yeah. I'm actually seeing that George qualified ninth. Are you seeing that too?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I'm seeing he qualified once ahead of Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll's in 10th. It's possible Lance had maybe a penalty that we forgot. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
I'm seeing he
Yeah.
qualified ninth. Again, this goes more to show your point though,
Yeah.
that George is squeezing. George is like he's like transcendent. He's
Yeah.
he's he's taking that car and being like, okay, car, look, me and you, between me and you, we both know you're a crap car. I don't care. You're going to drive like a Mercedes. It's
Yeah.
insane what he's doing in that Williams,
He,
for
he's
sure.
he's doing stuff he shouldn't be doing,
He should
even
not.
in
He should
like
not
a
be.
mid car pack. A mid pack car. Sorry.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a great pick, George Russell, killing it. Not like results wise, but
Yeah.
experience and speed wise. My driver of the day has got to be Sergio Perez. This was a gritty race from him. This was gritty. He spun out. He was in 10th after the first corner, and he started in like third or fourth. And to bring it all the way back up to sixth, that's exactly what Sergio Perez does, Chase.
Yeah.
He's consistent. He's quick. He's gritty. He's grit. That's my new word for Sergio Perez. He's got the grit. He had a couple incidents with Charles Leclerc, and even with the penalties, the man still ended up sixth. That's a great performance from Perez. And honestly, I think Red Bull get happier that they signed him each and every week. Each and every week.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's talk teams, Chase. Give me your team of the day.
My team of the day is just gonna be McLaren. And wait, yeah, okay, McLaren. Mainly just because of how they dealt with Norris here. And then Danny Rick went from 13th all the way up to 7th. So I think they did a good job with their strategy. I don't know too much about strategies, but just saying the fact that they were able to keep Hamilton at bay and then Ricardo was able to just kind of work his way up the ladder. I think that's a good race from them.
I tend to agree. I think anytime you've got you're hitting third when you're McLaren, that's what you want. Like that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's an amazing performance and it deserves recognition, Chase. So I'm glad you gave that to him. My pick has to be Red Bull. I think going back to back, granted, same track, but you can tell you
Yeah.
like this like I kind of knew, like you just kind of knew Red Bull was going to take this one. You knew Max was going to take this one. You knew Sergio was going to have a good day, and he did. Even with, you know, dropping all the way back early in the race, like Red Bull just have this track down. Like they just
Yeah.
know. And granted, Some consider this their home track. It is called the Red Bull Ring, but you got to go out there and you got to win every single week. And this one never felt in doubt to me. So for that reason,
Yeah,
Red Bull.
not for Max Verstappen. After the Styrian Grand Prix, it's like he dominated in that one, so it's like he's got to win the next one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, something's wrong with his car or something bad happens.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk. Actually, let's talk bad stuff. Let's talk bad stuff, Chase.
Yeah,
Worst of the weekend, go.
I just chose Perez not because I think he did a bad job. One, I didn't have too many outliers for worst of the weekend. For me,
Yeah.
nothing really stood out like, oh man, blah blah blah. But for me, I just felt like the second time he got into an altercation with Leclair, I feel like, it's preventable. I agree with you in the fact that it's a racing incident, and I don't necessarily agree with the 5 second penalty, but also like you see what I'm saying? It's like wouldn't you after getting run off yourself and spinning out, after running Leclerc off, wouldn't you play a little more safe? I mean, he did what he did and he placed well. I'm just saying, you know.
Okay. Okay. Well, see, I gotta disagree with you on this, Chase, because my worst of the weekend is these penalties. Like, I don't think number one, I don't think either Norris or Perez should have gotten penalized in this race. None of these were like deliberate attempts to run somebody off the road. These are very much racing incidents, and you have to realize like these guys are fighting tooth and nail for literally everything. So when you are a car trying to overtake another car, you cannot like just expect the other guy to move over and let you in. That's not how this game works, Chase.
Yeah, I agree.
I understand like there's like safety issues, but nobody got ran into a barrier. Nobody got hit. We're having a totally different conversation if Sergio Perez slams into Charles Leclerc. We're having a
Yeah.
totally different conversation if that happens, which I assume we will have a conversation about that later. But let's focus on this race for now, right? If that happens, we're having a different conversation, but it didn't happen. These were all clean racing incidents that somebody tried to get too fancy, tried to go alongside, and they didn't get it in time, and the corner cut on them.
Yeah, I can
I
see that.
I think all of these are good, and I applaud Sergio Perez for not running into somebody because they very easily could have. He very easily could have.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying like he did a bad job. I'm just saying like because penalties were given out, you would have think this. It's just the fact that it's the same driver, I believe the same corner. You
Yeah,
know,
I think so.
it's just that stacking of it that makes it a little bad in my eyes. I
I can understand that, but I don't think those penalties should have been given. To be
I
perfectly
agree with
honest with
that.
you.
I agree, but it's the fact that they were given that is the point I'm making with Perez. Because he was getting penalties, he should take that into a factor. But I don't think I'm with you on. It's just that's a tight corner. It's a fast corner. It's a
Hmm.
hard corner. It's stuff happens. Like you said, no one collided. No
Yeah,
one's car even got damaged from
not
running
really.
off.
Yeah,
So
not really. I think it all comes back to competitiveness when you're talking about incidents like these, where
mm-hmm.
like we said, nothing really happened. It's that it's the drive that these guys have. Sergio Perez doesn't care.
Yeah,
He just doesn't care. He's gonna race you hard, and he's gonna race you hard every single week. And so, yeah, even if he does have a penalty that day, I think he needs to keep going for it. I think he needs to keep racing hard. And so, if I'm a guy like Christian Horner, I'm maybe not publicly, but privately, I'm saying, hey man, keep that intensity up. Never lose that because that's the edge that some guys might lose.
yeah, I could see that.
I'd rather have a guy like that than a guy who starts mentally walking on thin ice when you're going 150 miles an hour on these corners, and then he loses a place, and who knows, months down the line, maybe that loses us $30 million.
Yeah, that's fair.
I understand where you're coming from, and I do think that's a quality point. But I'd rather have the guy who is going to race you hard no matter what, every single turn, every single week, than the guy who maybe if he like has a close call, now he's like nervous for the rest of the race. And who knows where like this something like this is so mental, Chase. Like we can't
Yeah,
even like just like we can't even fathom how insanely confident these guys have to be getting into a car like this.
yeah,
So
it's insane.
it's insane. But let's move on, Chase. Let's
Yeah,
talk about another race. But I'm sure. I mean, this next race, Chase.
there's a
I
lot to talk
I
about.
there's so much to talk about in this race. The British Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton #1, Charles Leclerc #2, Valtteri Bottas #3. There's a lot, Chase. And let's just get started. Let's just get started. One word description. Go.
Mine's sad, and it's sad for a lot of reasons. Sad that the opening lap was phenomenal,
So
and then
good.
then just went. We all know what happened. It's sad because of that. It's sad because Leclerc couldn't win it. It's sad because Leclerc had engine problems. It's
Yeah.
sad uh, because of where Perez landed. It's sad because the duel between Vettel and Fernando ended with Vettel spitting out. And one of the saddest things is just the hate that Hamilton got. And I'm not just talking about the hate towards Hamilton, I'm talking about the racist hate that he got. It's sad because that's immediately what some people turn to.
I didn't necessarily see any of that, but yeah, I mean, clearly, like that's not
I didn't
like
I
who
didn't
cares
see,
what a guy looks like? Let's just talk about what happens on the track. Like, come on.
exactly. I didn't see it either, but from what I understand, it was a big problem because everyone posted about it happening to Hamilton. So I'm just saying it's sad that immediately in the debate, people are like, "Well, what does he look like?" It's like, well, it doesn't matter. What's he doing in the car?
For sure. Let's talk. Okay, my one word. This race for me is tainted. Now,
Mm,
Lewis Hamilton has had some fantastic victories over the years. This was not one of them.
that's a good word.
This was not one of them, Chase. And to be perfectly honest, after I saw that, I went, okay, what is
Yeah.
this like? What are we doing here? Because
Yeah.
this, for me, is this race. He's got blood on his hands. For
Mm-hmm.
me, I have seen Lewis Hamilton do this to multiple drivers over multiple seasons. And every time I went, oh, racing incident. But this was one too many. This was one
I
too
can
many,
see that.
Chase. This was one too many. I gotta question it. I gotta question this one.
Yeah. Do
I
you
don't
just
know if
want
it
to
was intentional. I don't know if it was intentional.
you
But
just
he
want to jump
definitely
into the paddock here and just go into the crash?
no. We'll talk about it later. We'll
Okay.
because this is
Yeah. Yeah.
big. Because this
Yeah.
is big. We gotta spend a lot of time talking about this. But this for me, this race, this victory is tainted.
Yeah.
Let's
That's
talk.
a good
Let's
word.
talk drivers, Chase, because I feel like this one is pretty easy. It's Charles Leclerc for me,
Oh yeah.
driver of the day. He had a quality
Same with me.
drive. He couldn't finish it out in the end, but to keep that Ferrari in first for as long as he did with the engine troubles, it's just a reminder. Hey, Charles Leclerc is very good, and as soon as Ferrari's car improves, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
be talking about Charles Leclerc a
Mm-hmm.
hell of a lot more. Uh,
Like I said last week with Russell, or about last week. I didn't say it last week. Like I said about last week with Russell, Leclerc drove his heart out. He
Absolutely.
like not only was he fighting what's still debatably the best car on the track, in statistically speaking the best driver to ever exist, he has engine troubles
Yep.
too, and it's Hamilton's home race. So it's like all these factors, and he holds on to it for that long. It's insane.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't I can't say any. We can't really say anything more. It was a fantastic race from Charles Leclerc. Huge disappointment that he couldn't quite get it
Yeah,
over the line.
sad. I don't blame him for it 1 second.
Me neither. Me neither. Let's move on. Team of the day. Who you got, Chase?
I think I chose McLaren again. I think that's back to back McLaren choices. But just seeing their sprint race qualifying and then their results, that's really good. Ricardo is absolutely where he needs to be during this race the whole weekend. And I think as McLaren, you can't ask for any better from Ricardo. Because let's be honest here, in my opinion, he's not going to beat Norris. Norris is very clearly one of the best drivers that we'll see for a while, in my opinion. And so I think he did exactly what he needed to do.
I mean, I love McLaren. They're definitely my favorite team. This was a great race from him, honestly. This is the result that we needed from Daniel Ricciardo from day one, and we're finally starting to get it a little bit more consistently. I think he was 7th last race, 5th this race. And I agree with you again that Lando's probably always going to beat him. I think Lando just has more time in the car. I think generally he's just quicker than Daniel at this point.
Yeah.
In their careers, and I think Lando is only going to continue to get better.
Yeah.
I think Daniel's going to improve. He'll probably, if he stays with McLaren, which I think he will, because I think this McLaren team he recognizes has a lot of upside, a lot more than really any other team if you're looking around.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he'll improve. I think we'll probably see the peak, or at least like this is kind of as good as he's going to get in maybe a season or two. But to see Daniel Ricciardo improving week to week is definitely warms my heart as a McLaren fan.
Yeah.
This was a great race from him. I actually want to look a little bit further down the result here. I picked AlphaTauri for this. I don't talk about them a lot. They're good. They're consistent this year. They're top of the mid. They're consistently doing well in the mid pack. This time they both got beat, or they both got beat by Alpines. But 10th, 11th is quality. Is a decent. You'll take that. It's granted it's only one. You'd like to see him a couple places higher, but Yuki Tsunoda getting 10th, Pierre in 9th. Like this AlphaTauri team is a quality team. I think this was a good race from them.
Mind you, I do kind of disagree on the consistency part. They're doing good, but consistently they're not doing great. And I don't know if I blame them for that.
I think that Pierre has had too many DNFs.
Yeah.
To call him super consistent, which I will agree with.
And then Tsunoda, love the guy, but some races he comes home like 17th or it starts 17th.
And then some races he gets 10th.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I wouldn't say they're consistent, but I think they're good. I think I don't know what the problem is. Maybe Gasly's being a little too aggressive and that's too many DNFs, or maybe everything's just out of his hands. And then Tsunoda's a rookie. So, like, what more can you ask? A 10th place for a rookie, that's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. I think we can skip worst of the weekend. I think we all kind of we are both going to talk about the same thing, I would assume. So let's talk about the crash in a little bit, but first let's talk about the sprint race, Chase.
Yeah.
Give me some of your thoughts. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think? I mean, shoot.
I have two major opinions on it. It's not like I didn't enjoy it. It's racing.
Obviously.
But I have two problems with it. First, it's a great way to let the winners win more. And that's the best way I can say it. Because let's be honest here. You're just giving more points to the championship leaders.
Yeah.
There's not enough points to go around because it's a sprint race. And then who do you expect to win it? Like, occasionally we'll see like Leclerc or Norris pick up a couple points or maybe win it. But like 2, 3, 1 point, wow. Really changes the whole game for them. You see my point? It's like it only matters for the literal top of the pack. And then at that point, it's it's just giving more points to the people who are already winning, which I like a more of a fair fight. And I'm not saying that it isn't a fair fight, but you see what I'm saying? It's like, did Verstappen really need those 3 more points when
Who knows? Who
yeah.
knows? Could
I'm
he
I'm
could
just
he
that's
could
my problem is it's like this beautiful sprint race that just gives points to the winners.
Yeah,
And
literally
then
3, 2, and 1 for
yeah,
first gets 3, second gets 2, third
yeah.
gets 1 point.
In
Nobody else gets any points.
the points do kind of matter. I was undertoning it a bit there, but
No,
my point
I
is
get what you
just,
mean is the fact that nobody other than the top 3 score points and they're like minuscule points. It's like, okay, is this really necessary?
and then who's going to be the top 3? At max it's going to be 4 people. You know?
Yeah,
Maybe 5. It's
yeah,
it's just
with Lando.
yeah. I enjoyed it, but I think it's unnecessary. I think qualifying is what I'd like to see on a Saturday, because qualifying's like, hey, what is the raw skill of this driver? Doesn't matter what anyone else is around them. What
Mm-hmm.
is the raw speed on this track? And we still get qualifying, but
Mm-hmm.
it's at that point where it's like, well, Friday doesn't matter. It's Saturday that matters. So does qualifying matter anymore, or is it just the sprint race? Maybe I'm being a little too negative. I just,
No, Chase, I like a lot of what you're saying. This to me, and this I feel like is a, and I know this word is like a hot button. You can't. It's hard to use this word, but this is a pandemic. I've seen this across all sports, of sports doing this thing where they like to dumb down their sport, like make their sport simpler
mm-hmm.
to appeal to a broader audience. Chase, I hate it. I
Yeah.
hate it. I hate it. I hate it. The complexity and the intricacies of a sport are what make it beautiful, are what make it different, are what make it interesting, and allow you to, if you really, really like a sport, you can go and watch a YouTube video, or you can go and research,
Yeah.
and you can reveal the intricacies and make this game and make this sport that you love, or you find a passion for, that much more exciting. And to me, this sprint race just felt like baby time. I was like, here's
Yeah.
baby time, and here's like a little baby race for you guys, because we know you guys like racing.
Yeah.
I thought it was blasphemous. I hated every second of it. I thankfully I did not watch it live. I just watched the highlights. I hated it. I was like, this is dumb. Qualifying in and of itself, the qualifying like excitement and what's going on is so much different than the race. It's like, it's so awesome. I
Yeah.
love watching.
It's a whole different. It's a
I love
whole
watching.
different experience.
It's a whole different experience from the race. I hate that they're doing this to you. I think thankfully, like, it's only going to happen once or twice, but I really hate it. I really, really do not like it. Yes, it's more racing, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When you guys are all on the track, all lined up, that is, and whoever is yelling, it's lights out and away we go. That is just so iconic, and you're killing that with these, what is it, 17 lap race for 3 points?
Right?
Shoot me, dude. That sucks. Get it off my screen. I do not want it. Thankfully, this was thankfully nobody like smashed their car in these things. It just,
Well,
it makes no sense why you're like, I would be interested to see what the drivers think, if they like it. As a fan, I hate it. I really do not like it.
To add something here, I've heard Vettel speak on it. His opinion, to sum it up, I don't know the original quote, word for word, but to sum up what he said, he was just like, racing's for Sunday.
Absolutely. I'm absolutely with him there.
And to add another thing here about smashing cars, I was going to add this. So we all know that, like, people smash their cars in qualifying. Everyone's like, oh no, are they going to get their car for Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
But hear me out. As a driver, let's say we're sprint racing, and someone else wrecks my car Saturday, and then the real race rolls around where the real points matter,
I'm pissed.
and I can't play because my car got smashed by someone else because we're racing on Saturday.
For 3
That's
points? For 3 points?
For 3 points, that's gonna set me off. And if I'm watching my favorite racer, and that happens to them, because let's choose my favorite racer, Verstappen. Let's say he crashes out. Let's say he crashed out Saturday. For 3 points, he misses out on 25 to 18 to 10 to it's just I
It's
just
dumb.
think it's
Chase
it's
though,
problematic.
while you were talking, I think I had the most brilliant idea I've ever had in my entire life. I think I literally fixed the sprint races. I think I literally just fixed it.
Remove them.
Chase. Well, yeah, obviously, yes. Just have the people who qualified 1, 2, and 3 race. A 3-car race
Sure,
for like 10 laps.
that's different.
I would watch that.
That's different.
I would legitimately watch that. That way, because look, excuse me, I'm still sick. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, think about it this way: these guys at the bottom, at the back of the pack, are literally they're not racing for anything. They're clearly
No.
not going to win.
There's no reason to show up.
There's
dude.
literally no reason for them to show up. But 1, 2, and 3, if you let 1, 2, and 3 race, that way you're giving like the guy who qualified third a chance to sit pole.
Yeah.
I would actually watch the hell out of that. And
It'd be interesting.
and
More
that way-
interesting than it is now.
it would be so much more interesting. Just shorten it down, maybe even the top 5. Maybe say top 5.
That's what I was thinking.
If you qualify top 5,
like
you get a chance to bump yourself up and just have them go at it for 10, 15, 17 laps. I would watch that. As it is, it's too congested and I don't like it.
well, and like I said, if you are not Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Norris, or Perez, maybe Leclair, there's no point in even showing up to the sprint race. It's
For
worthless. It's just a chance to wreck your car because someone else is doing something stupid.
Yep, I agree. I do really like that. I do really like that idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Thank you. Let's talk about it, Chase. Let's talk about the crash.
Yep, the big
Lap
boy
1
Oh,
into,
man.
I think it's Copse corner.
Yeah, a Copse corner. Copse.
Copse corner. Verstappen is leading. Verstappen is ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the replays.
I've
Lewis
listened to like 5 people talk about it.
Lewis goes in on the inside. Max turns in. Lewis's front left hits Max's back right. Max goes into the barrier. Lewis gets a 10-second penalty.
Almost
still-
virtually almost untouched car.
Yeah, nothing wrong with his car. Serves the 10-second penalty. It takes him, a while to get back into first, but he does. He only dropped to like 4th, I think. 4th or 5th.
It wasn't far at all.
Hamilton wins the race. What do you think?
Man.
What do you think? Because I've kind of already touched on my thoughts, and I can
Yeah.
go into more detail, obviously.
Yeah, we'll
but,
go and do it again. Just
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
I want to say this first. I'm trying my hardest to be fair. Because let's say in a week the roles are reversed. I don't want to say something now about Hamilton or about Verstappen that I won't say when the roles are reversed, right? Like I want to be fair here. But I've heard so many opinions. I've heard it's a racing incident, which I kind of agree with. I've heard like Hamilton's opinion on it, how he doesn't want to be like pushed around in corners, which I see. That's fair. He doesn't want to always bow out, because there's good examples in previous races of him bowing out of a corner so he doesn't crash. But when it comes down to it, Max is ahead. It's Max's corner. That's how the cornering works. From my understanding, if you are ahead, you control the corner. If you look at the replay, Hamilton has a car width to his right. A full car width to the right inside of the corner before he goes over the curb. And he doesn't use it. And Verstappen, who's leading, who's being aggressive, and I get they're both being aggressive, and I get neither one wants to be bullied, but Verstappen, who's leading, is trying to control the corner, and Hamilton doesn't use the space that Verstappen gave him, hits Verstappen, Verstappen speeds into a wall, goes to a hospital to watch the rest of the race, and Hamilton gets 10 seconds. And I'll touch on something later after you re-say your thoughts on it.
Honestly, Chase, that was fantastic. That was extremely well worded. Honestly, I mean, I 100% agree, and I would like to echo everything you've said. I think this was Lewis Hamilton getting a wake up call. This race was a wake up call for Lewis. He might not be the best in the world anymore. And I don't think he liked that very much, Chase.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to attack his character too much, but I mean, I get he doesn't want to be bullied, but that also, like, from all the point of views that I've heard lots of people talk about it. I've heard racers who race talk about it. I've heard non-racers. I've heard F1 fans. I've heard Hamilton, Verstappen fans. I've heard so many points of view on this. When it comes down to it, Verstappen gave him a ton of space on the inside of the turn, and Hamilton didn't use it to be aggressive, and I don't think that was right of Hamilton, because that is a super fast corner.
Yep.
And what you said at the beginning, Hamilton's front left makes contact with Verstappen's not front right, back right. It's not like they were next to each other. Verstappen was ahead of Hamilton. It just upset me to see.
This was a bad one. I didn't like it. And only 10 seconds. This should have been I mean, there were people calling for a DQ for Lewis. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that.
I disagree, but it is a good point to bring up.
I don't know, maybe a drive-through. Give him a drive-through.
10 seconds is nothing.
10 seconds is nothing for a guy like Lewis.
Within half a second, Verstappen has no chance of making any points.
Yeah.
And Hamilton's car is untouched.
Yep.
So
10 seconds is just not enough. It's just not enough.
So going off of your point, I've got a Hamilton opinion for you. Now this is juicy. I just happened across this.
You know I love juicy, Chase. Hit me with it.
This is Hamilton in 2018. I don't know what race, but in 2018, talking about Vettel crashing into Bottas. This is actual quotes, and I saw this. So to preface it, Lewis Hamilton criticized the decision to give Vettel a 5-second penalty for colliding with Valtteri Bottas. Vettel was still able to finish ahead of Bottas despite this penalty, Hamilton noted. Now here's the quote. Ultimately, when someone destroys your race through an error, and it's only a kind of a tap on the hand, really, he's just allowed to come back and still finish ahead of the person that he took out. It doesn't weigh up. He shouldn't really be able to finish ahead of him because he took him out of the race. That is a direct Hamilton quote. Lewis Hamilton quote. In 2018.
Extremely applicable to the situation we're currently in. Extremely applicable. I don't
10
want to call
seconds for ruining his entire race.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't sit well.
And I don't want to attack Hamilton here, but what hurt me is everyone was like, Hamilton's celebrating a bunch, that's disrespectful. What hurt me was seeing Max say that. Not anybody else. Seeing Max say that on a post on Instagram, that he felt disrespected laying in a hospital.
Tough. It was tough. It was a tough race to watch as a guy who I don't really care for Lewis. I think Lewis and Mercedes are very much the the Tom Brady when he was at the Patriots. They're always kind of winning, and I never liked those type of people. So
yeah,
obviously I want everybody to be safe. I don't want anybody to crash or anything like that. But I certainly would like to see Max Verstappen giving Lewis a run for his money all season. Yeah. And in order for him to do that, Max needs to continue to win and continue to put up good performances and not crash. He needs to not crash, Chase.
I agree.
And so to see something like this happen, it makes me wonder. Just makes me wonder.
Yeah, I just don't see where it's anywhere close to like fair. I don't think everything needs to be fair. I hate the adults that tell their children, you know, you have to be fair in every single aspect of your life. I disagree with that.
Yeah, life's not fair.
Life's not fair. But you get a 10-second penalty for crashing out unintentionally. I don't think it was intentional. I don't think Hamilton wanted to crash there. I don't think that was the case. But you do get a 10-second penalty for crashing out your opponent. I was joking with my mom, but I'm gonna bring up this point. What's to stop you from doing it again? I'm not saying he's gonna, because no one wants to win that way, but do you see my point?
Absolutely.
The 10 seconds for your championship contender rival to not get any,
Yeah, to get literally 0 points.
literally have no chance at anything at all. I just don't see how that, you know, if I was, I mean, like, bless Max Verstappen. I would be fuming if I was him right now. I'd be
mad.
down at the FIA yelling at them all day long for what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely agree. And I absolutely agree with him. And I absolutely agree with you, Chase. I'm so glad we could see eye to eye on that.
Yeah,
Because I felt like my take was pretty hot. Your take was arguably hotter.
yeah, because I watched so many opinions on it. I've seen so, like, I tried to step away from Max as my favorite driver, and Lewis is not my favorite driver. I've tried to step away
Lewis
from that,
is
so I
not.
watched so many opinions. But at the end of the day, you know, it's like Tom Brady with the Patriots in cheating. I think it was him who cheated.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they cheat, they win, but they don't get the championship title ripped away from them. I don't know what actually happened there, but I'm just saying, let's say they win and they don't get the championship title for cheating. It's like, well, I'll just find a different exploit next year, use it, win, and you won't rip it away from me, and you'll fine me, you know, and then I'll find another exploit. It's just the punishment does not fit what happened. I'm not going to say the crime.
The punishment does no. It was a crime, in my opinion. In my opinion, it was a crime. But I understand. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I think honestly, we've probably said all we can say. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I feel like we've made both of our feelings very clear. So let's move on. We'll do a final thing, which was one of your inside the paddock ideas, which I really like. What driver has the best name in Formula One?
In your opinion.
Give me your pick, and then I'll give you mine.
Okay. So there's a lot of good picks, and it could be a previous racer if you really feel like, oh, this one just undeniably. But I'm kind of choosing from who's in the grid right now. For me, it's Charles Leclerc, and the reason I say that is pinnacle French, dude. Pinnacle.
Well, he's technically from Monaco, but it's pretty much French.
He's technically not French, but you know what I mean. It's Charles Leclerc. That's so good.
It's a great name. It's a great name. I think it's only rivaled by Antonio Giovinazzi.
Yeah.
That name sounds fast. It sounds fast, Chase.
And it just screams, I am from Italy.
I am Italian.
Yeah.
I love Antonio Giovinazzi's name, but I do actually love Antonio Giovinazzi. He's a great guy. I've seen interviews and stuff. He just seems like a genuinely nice dude. So for me to give him this win in my pick for best Formula One driver name, brings a tear to my eye and makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
All right, Chase. I think we'll call it there. This was a great ep. I really loved it. And I can't wait.